Stand by, we're checking. 7037, if you receive any trolley calls in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic City, please notify. Rampart 80, possible between them and suspects Alexander and Beverly. Beverly and Alexander see the juvenile to tape when advised. Being followed by a blue Mitsubishi and on license plate.
2 cops, copy, log on.
Hang on, I'm not ready.
Fuzz is a boomer at heart. He really is.
A boomer at heart?
All right. Are you ready to get into this?
Sure.
There's the excitement we're all looking for. Are you ready, Roxas?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Oh, well, he was excited? Okay. We're off to a great start.
He walked in here.
Okay, guys, let's get started here. Welcome back to episode 5. We're doing this live. Thank you for showing up. We've got a ton of questions, a ton of information. It's going to be definitely another hour-long episode. Before we get into any news or anything, let's check with Flying Fuzz and Roxas, who again are here with me. What's up?
What's happening?
Nothing.
Nothing new.
Same old.
You like
Fuzz
the way I
is-
did that?
Fuzz is already tired of this because he keeps getting made fun of, so
He's only muting his mic to shove another chip in his mouth.
exactly. All right. We've got a lot to get started here, so Flying Fuzz is going to go right into a news story. I'm not going to lie, I haven't looked at the link yet, so I have no idea what is going
It's
to
kind
happen.
of long, so
So-
I'll try and get through it. DA, this is from a DA. Man faked his death to avoid jail, but a typo gave him away. So out of Long Island, New York, a Long Island criminal defendant tried faking his death to avoid a jail sentence, but the phony death certificate his lawyer submitted had a glaring spelling error that made it a dead giveaway for a fraud, prosecutor said. Robert Berger of Huntington, New York, now faces up to 4 years in prison if convicted in the alleged scheme. That's in addition to the pending sentences for earlier guilty pleas and charges of possession of a stolen Lexus and attempt grand larceny of a truck. Punishment prosecutors say he was looking to avoid. It will never cease to amaze me the lengths some people will go to avoid being held accountable on criminal charges. Berger pleaded not guilty to a single count of offering false instrument for filing. A judge set bail at $1 but ordered Berger back to jail because of his underlying cases. His next court date is scheduled for July 29th. Scheduled to be sentenced to a year in jail last October on the theft-related charges, Berger fled the state while taking steps to convince his then lawyer, prosecutors, and the judge that he had killed himself, including allegedly using his fiancée to pass along a bogus death certificate. At first glance, Berger's purported death certificate looked like an official document issued by the New Jersey Department of Health, but there was one big problem. He spelled registry wrong. So he spelled it REGSITRE, or TRY, excuse me, and it's supposed to be REGISTRY, prosecutor said. There was also inconsistencies in the font and the size. The real New Jersey Department of Health confirmed that his death certificate was fake. You're going to get caught, said the prosecutor. We say it all the time, crime doesn't pay. We'll catch up to you eventually. In this case, it's never a good idea to submit phony documents to a district attorney. We were able to make sure that he wasn't going to get away with it, she said. So this guy did a horrible job at phoning faking his death certificate. And of course, everyone saw past it. And that leads me to my next story. When I was doing VCI a couple weeks ago, pulled over this car for being unregistered. As I walked up to the car, I saw what appeared to be a temporary placard in the rear window. Made contact with the driver. She's like, "Oh yeah, that's the temp placard." I was like, "Cool. Can I see it?" And license and insurance or whatever. She didn't have a license. She didn't have insurance. She gave me the temp placard, and as soon as I looked at the temp placard, the font was different, and the barcode down at the bottom was blurry. And so those are usually dead giveaways, but normally they do a pretty good job and they put the right VIN. Well, I verified the last 4 of the VIN on the phony placard with the car, and then I take it back to my car to run the VIN. And as I'm doing that, I realize that it's only 16 characters long and not 17 characters long. So I walk back up there and I'm like, "Hey, I just need to check the VIN again." Check the VIN. get the actual VIN, and then I run the temp placard in. It was a Texas temp placard. Run the temp placard out of Texas, and it came back like on a Mazda, and the car pulled over was a Mustang. And so it was just a good example. Like when I walked up there and I handed her the ticket for bogus registration, she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's pretty bad fake, I must add." And she's like, "Okay." I was like, "I could tow your car and everything." She's like, "No." It's like, "All right, whatever." So yeah, that's the news story. Kind of long, but don't fake court documents because they'll figure it out.
Did she admit to faking it herself, or did somebody give it to her?
She kept accusing her boyfriend of doing it.
But she
Who wasn't in the car?
Yeah, who wasn't in the car.
Ah, okay.
Did she get a ticket at least?
Oh yeah, she got 4 tickets.
Oh, see, there's the traffic unit.
There's the traffic unit.
There's the future Tom unit right there now.
It would have been easier if I had the tablet. Then I could have just printed them out. But it took me like 20 minutes.
My tablet's
to write
actually right over there, and it's still
I would
on.
say-
And it's kind of bugging me.
He probably could have like gave her 6 or 7 if you had the tablet. What's the max on that you can do?
5.
5?
5 on the tablet, but it's takes literally 2 seconds to load
To
another one.
recopy it.
More.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just, I mean, Fuzz knows because he did the ride along with me, but at the start of my shift, I stopped somebody for speeding, and I type in, typically it says something like radar vehicle traveling 54 miles per hour in a posted 35 mile per hour speed zone after visual estimation, and then I copy and paste it, or I copy it and save it, and then I just copy and paste for all my tickets. It's
Nice.
cake. But speaking of the ride along, we did mention last episode, we talked about getting somebody going over 90. And our goal for this ride along that we had was to do some car accidents, which Fuzz got to do. And he actually did some all on his own. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't check over them. I just submitted them. So
Are you really going to
It might-
second guess his work though?
they might get rejected. I don't know. But if they don't get rejected, I'm going to be going to court testifying on these warrants or on these
fine.
insurance things. And I'm going to be like, I honestly have no idea what happened. I didn't do the report. So there's that. But we did get somebody going over 100 when we did a ride along. So like we talked about last time, the car we were using has the moving radar, kind of like Highway Patrol would have, instead of the little handheld ones that we carry on our motorcycles. And we were just cruising, and we kept getting the random pings, and we're like, there's no way. It's got to be broken. And I think the rear was broken. Well, the vehicle passed us, and we started following it. And this chick starts going 106. And I mean, look, I know it's an unmarked vehicle. I get it.
She was
It
picking up
doesn't
speed.
have. Oh yeah, and like straight up like oblivious to us. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't say police on the side. I get it, but it is a blue tinted Ford Explorer with a bumper.
No, it doesn't have a bumper.
It doesn't have a bumper. Okay, well, it
No,
has
it
lights
doesn't.
in the front. Where
Yeah,
the
it does
bumper
have
would be.
visible lights in the front, though. Yes.
Like how do you, if I see a car on the side of the road and I see flashers and I don't know what that car is, I slow down because I'm like, oh, that might be a cop. Like, how do you drive past a Ford Explorer, tinted windows, all blacked out with dark blue, and then lights in the front, and still
The
keep
s-
going
The
106?
same color blue is Highway
As
Patrol.
NHP, like,
Yeah.
come on now. So we,
Yeah, it probably sticks out. Did you guys have the lights on the side, the spotlights?
no, it doesn't have the spotlights.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
That's the only kicker. That and the bumper would be a sellout, right? Like you
It
have
would
to
be.
know.
Yeah.
Well, she's picking up speed, and so we're hauling after her to catch her. She's in this little BMW convertible, and we light her up. And as soon as we light her up, dude, she is on the brakes. Like, I had to stay to the right of her because the SUV, the Ford Explorer, was not going to stop at the rate she was stopping. Her
Yeah.
little like BMW, and she was stopped.
Hard.
I mean, hard. Like, we didn't travel another 100 feet, and she was stopped, and I was like sliding like in this big ol' SUV. Like, oh man, here we go.
You
But
didn't even
we
say
did
how
get-
fast she was going.
Oh, she's going.
You never
106.
told
I
her?
thought I said that.
Oh, you said over 90.
Oh, she was going 106 that's what we saved her speed at. And I walk up to her and I'm pretty lenient, right? I don't stop anybody unless they're going 15 over. I don't cite them for more than 10 over if they're respectful and whatever. I tell them like, hey, look, no big deal. I get it. Like you're going fast, but you're super respectful. I have to give you a ticket. Your warning was the 15-mile-an-hour buffer I gave you, but I'm only going to write you for 5 over, or I'm only going to write you for 10 over. I'm not going to give you the full 15. Well, she was going like, what, 45 over? 41 over? Somewhere in there. So Fuzz was like, oh, like, let's write her for 20. It's like going 21 to 30 instead of the 40 over. And I was like, all right. And the only reason I agreed to it is because when I walked up to her and I was like, oh, like I stopped you for going 106 and a 65. She was like, oh, I thought you were trying to race. And I was like, yo, really? Like, come on now.
What kind of car was she driving again?
Like a convertible BMW.
Sports car thing.
So it had an engine in it. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it was nice. Like it wasn't like it was some little Kia Rio like I drive to work that's about to fall apart and Smith's in the passenger seat holding on for his life.
Taking a Dramamine so he doesn't throw up.
Smith, every time we rode home from work and he was driving, he would fall asleep driving and he'd like twitch awake as he's going like when I was driving, he couldn't even close his eyes. He was too scared because of my car.
Clenching everything.
He's like
a full body workout for him on the way home.
Roxas, what do you have from this week? You had a pretty good story if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, so we had our squad just got a PSR unit, which is the public service. Is it representative? Is that what they are?
Patrol service representative. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Public patrol. Yeah, so they go around, they do all the chucks and stuff. Well, we got a new guy yesterday on our squad for that, and he got the pleasure of riding with me yesterday. So, so we were going around doing a bunch of calls for the day, go to lunch, and then it's time to be proactive. So we're not out from lunch, maybe 2 minutes. We're driving down the street, and I see a car facing the wrong direction with a plate on the front of it that I can read. So we drive past it, looks a little sketch, grab the plate, run it, and all of a sudden my tablet starts lighting up all kinds of nice colors, saying that the car is stolen. Well, the problem is that the PSR unit that's with me, their job, they don't have guns, they don't have weapons, they don't have all this other stuff. They don't go to dynamic calls. They go to stuff that something's calm. They just take a report and that's the end of it. So he doesn't really have to pay attention to the radio very well, but I do because I have to see what's going on. So I know the dispatch is telling me, hey, do you copy that 411 car, the stolen car? So as he's telling me a story, I'm whipping the car around, flipping the lights on, telling him, hey, 3VC41, I copy that stolen car. I'll be at, Commerce and Charleston, blah, 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 out on this car, whip around, light it up. And I'm jumping out of the car, going out on gun on 2 people in a stolen car. Well, he has no idea what's going on because he wasn't paying attention to the radio. He wasn't paying attention to the tablet because he was talking. And then next thing you know, we're whipping a U-turn on a one-way street, going guns out on a car. So he has to hop out and kind of stand awkwardly at the back of the car. But it's pretty much just scaring someone into something that they weren't ready for.
I think that brings up a good point too, is always know where you're at. Like if you go on a ride along or something, like always know where you're at. Pay attention to where you're at because you never know. Like
you mean as the ride along or as the
ride along?
It's true. If you're going to ride along with us, you're probably doing it for a reason. You're either going to go through the academy, you want to see what we do. Try and put yourself in our shoes for the ride along. So pay attention to the same things that we're paying attention to. I know we can't show you guys what's going on the tablet because of, privacy laws and stuff like that. So, don't worry about that kind of thing. But you can listen to the radio, what's going on, pay attention to this and that. But yeah, just put yourself in our shoes.
Yeah, that. And if anything happens to the officer, at least you know where you're at,
Yes, that's always a plus too.
Well, and for somebody that is employed by the department as a PSR
that too.
They need to recognize that they're basically at work. Like when Fuzz goes with me, he is considered at work. He doesn't have a...
Yeah. He's not just sitting over in the next thing.
So
he's putting out a bunch of tweets, not paying attention to what you're doing.
Right.
How old do you have to be to do a ride-along?
18.
anybody that asks me that's young, like, hey, what should I do to like become a cop? I'm like, if you're past 18, apply for dispatch because
Well, I mean, if it's
you start learn.
I was thinking if it's 18 to be a PSR, that'd be the spot to go to.
Yeah.
Because then you get the paperwork part down.
And they do like PAC and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, you're like on the street with us.
Well, they sent one of kind of going into the academy a little bit. They sent one of the kids in my class that he's not a kid, he was like 56. And he's awesome. He's an awesome dude. Like I still talk to him. He's actually in the academy now again, but he had a little bit of a struggle with English and just the comprehension of it kind of messed him up, and it made him learn a little bit slower than obviously somebody with their first language of English. And they sent him to PSR, and that way he got to learn like the areas, kind of how patrol works. He got to use the radio, and that, from what I understand, it helped him a lot. And he's actually in the academy again. So
that's cool.
All right, let's get into it because we have a lot that we're going to talk about.
A lot to cover today.
We have questions, and I'm guessing we're going to get more questions. We're just going to go through the academy, essentially. We're going to try and just keep it in order. The academy, the way it works, we touched on it a little bit. It's about 100 days, a little bit longer for some of them, and depending on your holidays and such. But it's somewhere around there, pretty close.
And that's 100 work days. I feel like we should clarify.
Yes, exactly. It's not just like
100 work days. So what, it evens out to 6 months?
Roughly, yeah.
Right? And it actually starts, instead of starting with 1, it starts with 0. So day 0 is, I like to think of it as an admin day, and we're not going to give away any of the secrets or the memories that come with day 0 and day 1 because they're the most important days, but they're also the hardest days, I feel like.
Yeah, it's definitely that separation day.
But
yeah, when your body's shutting down on you.
Yeah.
So what is your guys' experience with day 0 and day 1? Did you guys know it was coming? I feel like Flying Fuzz knew it was coming.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Like, he's actually not real. He's just a robot that's programmed by the department.
Exactly.
So Castle's all ears because he's about to go in. So
yeah, he's ready for it.
For me, day 0. So I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to be like an admin day, like you said. You come in, they teach you the basics of how to stand at attention, parade rest. They yell at you for a little bit. I think you do your pre-academy PT test. That's part of the admin stuff, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember everything we did. They brought us in. They did a reality check, so they showed you a bunch of like OAS videos and stuff.
Yeah.
They let you eat your snack for like 2 minutes because you had to bring a snack, and then they get mad at everyone because the snacks are sugary, protein
unhealthy.
And stuff. Yeah. And then I think that was pretty much it for our day 0. Did you guys do your day 0 right before day 1, or did you do it like 2 weeks before day 1?
I think my day 0 was like a week before.
Yeah, it was like a Thursday, and then we started on a Monday.
And that
day 0 is where you got all your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that day 0? Are you sure? Was that day 0? I don't remember getting all our shit on day 0.
No, yeah, you get all your stuff because you have to sit there and wait for everybody.
I feel like we didn't do that on our day 0. I feel like you're talking about getting the boxes and holding the boxes up and all that crap. I don't think we did that on day 0.
Maybe it was a different day then. I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, that was day 0 for us. We had our HR day.
I'm getting signed by my wife that it was day 0.
Yeah, it was day 0.
Did you go to day 0 in uniform?
No, I was in a suit.
No, you didn't have him. You were in a suit?
Yeah, we were all in a suit.
Yeah, then ours were all different. My day 0, we were in PT gear because we did the PT test. We did all that stuff. And then I came back for another day or another night for only like 2 or 3 hours. And that's when we picked up all our crap.
No, okay, so we all had it different then.
Yeah.
Essentially. So mine was, you show up, we were in standard, we weren't in class PT gear. We were in like just shorts and a t-shirt. And I remember because I think Bayer, who is hopefully going to be on one of these episodes soon. He's actually in the Discord. I just realized this.
Yeah, he just joined the Discord.
I
Yeah,
didn't
he just
realize
popped
that.
in.
So with Buyer, was it you that had the shirt that they kept making fun of, or was that somebody else? If you are listening and want to pop in, I think I have myself deafened though.
Yeah, we're
So I
all
don't know.
muted, so we can't hear him and he can't hear us.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully he's watching. I don't know. Maybe he'll give us an answer. But somebody in the class had some sort of inappropriate shirt, and they just got destroyed for it. And then, of course, you have your. I think we went right into our PT test to your start of the academy PT test. They came out, yelled at us, of course, and we went right in and did our testing. And then we went and did the admin stuff where they showed you videos. We got all our stuff in the boxes and such. So that's weird that you guys were in like suits because
Because I remember how hard it was because my suits, or at least they're tighter fitting. So trying to hold a box above your head, the suit was like rising way up on me while I was holding it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I wear the suits.
So then for Roxas, did you do the PT test on that day too?
I don't think we did because I don't remember changing out. That's the problem. I don't remember when we did the PT thing then.
Because we did the I guess your day zeros were way different. Our day zero was pre-academy PT test and then admin shit, and then that was it. And then we had another.
Yeah, but you came in a second day to get your uniforms and stuff. We took all that home.
Yeah, I don't know, because Flying was only one ahead of me. He was one academy ahead of me. Well, that's not like it should have been a big difference.
Well, even when we get into like mid-packed, like that's a huge change, and you guys are only one away.
It's true.
So we did have a couple of questions about family life, and we talked about how the academy, it molds you and it changes you a little bit, and as you work and getting experience, it molds you and changes you a little bit.
I'd like to go back real quick.
Okay, what would you like to say?
So from day zero to that's day zero. Then for day one is when you come in, you're like your PT gear, and you're supposed to have all your shit. I just want to touch on that.
Yeah,
you have everything ready to go.
I don't know if we can really say much about day one because I don't want to spoil it. But
be getting
good luck.
You're gonna get burned to the ground for 14 hours.
You could say day zero, day one. You could say day 7. It's all good luck.
True. The first month is
no, that first week. It's the week.
I feel like the first month you just get destroyed, man.
Yeah.
Well, you do. Month. But that first week is where all the people that shouldn't belong there are still trying to hold on.
But anyway, I just want to touch on day one. So if you want to go into family life now, we can.
So family life, I think it happens before day one and day 0, but maybe it's between. In between, okay. Your family is invited to a big meeting with the tech staff, and you as a recruit entering into the academy are not allowed to go. And they do that for a couple of different reasons, because they want your family to understand the environment and the way things are going on, but they don't want the recruits to have the big picture yet, because they mold us. And one thing that I remember specifically that my family brought back was how they talked about, like, obviously being a cop is dangerous, right? Obviously people worry, right? But they talked about how, like, basically none of us are alone. We have a ton of resources. We're a big department. If we ask for the helicopter and the dog and the tank, then it's coming.
Yeah.
Like, if we need it to come, it's gonna come. It's whether we need it or not is a different scenario altogether. But if we need it, it's gonna come. So they talk about lunches. They talk about shoes. They talk about recovery. What else do you guys remember listening to or hearing from family members?
I remember diet being a big one. I remember my mom told me that they told her we're pretty much, like, on the weekends we're going to be busy with homework and don't bother us, that type of stuff. At least for the first few months.
I got told pretty much just they need to be a support system. That's it. They just need to understand that we're going through a hard time and they just need to be there for us. That was pretty much the only thing that my tech sergeant explained.
Agreed. That's definitely part of it. I remember somebody saying something along the lines of, like, don't shine our boots for us.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah, I
apparently
think I
that's
heard that one.
it really is kind of what Roxas said, just being a support system, because as I mentioned in last episode, the academy is kind of like takes over your life while you're in it. You get maybe one day to really just decompress and spend time with people. Maybe one day. Anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was it.
Homework. So somebody asked how much homework you get, a little bit about studying. So me and Fly and Fuzz had the same tax staff. So kind of the
Yep.
same upbringing per se, training, I guess. Roxas, from what I understand, had an easier tax staff, is the way I was explained to it. They
Yep.
only
Yeah,
had to
it
do
depends.
homework, it
We
depends.
we did a lot
How
of
long did
work.
you do homework?
We did. I mean, it was up until about
We're about to have
halfway
an
through,
argument.
and then we got
halfway
Yeah, okay. Halfway
Yeah.
through.
halfway through.
and then we would get burned down, and then they would just try and find something stupid for us to do again, and it happened again. We didn't. When did you guys get to unfurl your what'd you call it? Ours was like a week before we
The
graduated.
last
That's how.
week?
Yeah, I was
the
the same.
last week.
Okay. I felt like our class was just dumb because it was the last week. I was like, why did it take so long for us to get it?
It's the guide
I
on.
think
And
we
for
got
everyone
ours.
wondering what he's talking about, it's the guide on.
Yeah,
the
unfurl the guide
So
on.
it's
That's what it was.
Google it. Google a guide on. It's a
Yeah.
like a thing, military thing, right? I remember we got to take ours out at a certain point, and then they re-rolled it, and then we got it again. Like
Oh,
2 weeks
really?
before, like 2 weeks before graduation, they unrolled it, and then they re-rolled it, and then unrolled it the week of graduation again because we did something stupid.
Well, I don't think we ever did anything well enough to get it unfurled the first time. They were like,
But anyway,
"Oh crap!
back to
I think they're
homework.
supposed to have it."
Back to the question.
So Roxas over here only had to do homework for like 2-3 months, maybe. I had homework 5.5 months in, for sure,
Same.
100%.
Same.
And it wasn't like stupid stuff like, oh, you forgot your pen, you're gonna write 1,000 words on remembering equipment. It was like 1,000-word essay on. It was helpful, like case law or something, like on this scenario or this. It wasn't because of just certain individuals or us screwing up. It was like legit, like study homework, like research this, write me 1,000 words on it. And it's like, oh, come on, man, we have a week left.
Yeah, and it'll also like arrest paperwork and that kind of stuff too.
Yes. Well, we had something I didn't find out until the very end. One of the kids in my academy class, his stepdad was one of our TAC officers, but it was also the same time when they were doing a lot of hiring. So he was the other halves of our class TAC staff, and he only came in to deal with us like momentarily, here and there. But he would text his stepson and be like, hey, like, is that too much homework for you guys? Like, how'd it go? What time did you get finished? Not that they cared. They weren't going to change anything. But we were staying up at like 3 a.m. doing homework.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then the first week, you're not going to get any sleep. Just know
No.
that. You're not going to get any sleep.
That whole week, I think I got like maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, you're not. I lived legitimately 2 minutes away from the academy, and I got no sleep.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that lived in like the apartments right there across.
I lived in those apartments right there, and there was people that lived in like Henderson and had like a 40-minute drive.
Yeah,
I was
decent
like,
drive.
I don't know how you guys do it, bro, because dang.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
On top of homework.
Did you guys, like, at any point feel overloaded? Did a lot of it hit you all at once? Or obviously it depends on how we all learned, right? But what struggles did you guys have with studying or homework or such?
I think in the beginning, because they give you so much, like my biggest concern was not getting it done in time, even if I did stay up all night and do it.
Yeah.
But eventually you find that like system of, like I found a system where I would do all the hard stuff first when I'm still kind of awake, and then I do all the easier stuff later. Like when you have to write the codes out 5 times or whatever, I would do that later, mainly because I already knew all the codes. So it was super easy for me to do that. And I would do that later, and then I'd sleep, like take naps in between. But
Take naps in between, he says.
I had a system. I had this whole system.
I just knocked it all out and then knocked out. I also didn't. I don't know. I'm pretty. Like for me in the academy, as long as I paid attention in the classes, I was fine. If I was too tired in class or something and I lost focus, then I struggled. But if I paid attention to the class and I knew what we were talking about, and then they asked us to do homework on it or what have you, I was fine. And then when it came to test week, I would go out and study with some friends, and that would be kind of enough to reassure me for the test, and I'd be good to go. But I know a lot of people aren't like that. Like a lot of people have to study, put in the extra work. As long as I was paying attention, I was comfortable and I was good, and I did well.
Yeah, I couldn't study with anyone else because everyone else in my academy was all goof offs, so I had to do it by myself.
Yeah, it's probably better that you weren't associated with people in your academy, though, so that's good.
Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong with that one.
What do you guys got about homework as far as like
I don't know, it's
give
just-
rocks a scrap?
You get out of it what you put into it. If you want to study your definitions and do really well, I mean, I had 1 week where I smashed definitions, and Sargent put me on blast because of
Are we
it.
talking about a good? Because typically when somebody says smashed, it's good.
Yeah,
Are we
I did
saying
well.
bad or good?
No, I did
Okay.
really well. It was one of those things that I don't know. I really don't know how I memorized everything so well, but I did really well. And it got to the point where my squad, as they're going down, were messing up things. And Sergeant stepped back and was like, "Roxas, what's this definition?" And I rambled it off, and she's like, "Why is it that Roxas knows what this definition is?" Like, because I studied, ma'am.
Yeah.
And there were other weeks that I couldn't think of one definition and I couldn't get through it. I mean, it happens. You can have a really good week, you can have a really bad week, and you can't let it get to you.
So did Fuzz ever have a point where he cracked under pressure, or what? Did you ever get anything wrong, or were you?
Not at work. There was, or not at the academy. There was one day where the pressure of the academy kind of got to me, and when I got home, I just kind of broke down. But that's what your family's there for when we talk about the support system, and they just kind of keep you going.
See, like I was wondering if maybe at some point you messed something up and they were asking you why you didn't get it correct, and if you just told them you didn't get the updated policy manual loaded to your chips yet, or. But I guess they put you up to date before they put you in the academy, so they updated your drivers.
I'll kind of jump to the end of the academy real quick. There was, at the end of the academy, we were doing our last 400 code drill, and Sergeant was like, TAC Gorell was like, or TAC Sergeant Gorell was, he told our class leader to pick someone for a definition. So he picked me because I knew most of the definitions, and he's like, "Oh, we're not doing Fuzz, we're doing someone else." And he's like, "Okay." So the class leader's trying to pick someone else, and then he changed his mind. He's like, "You know what? No, we're gonna do Flying Fuzz." So he asked me a definition, and I say it, and all the TAC officers look at each other like, "Yeah, he got it right." And the bet was, if I got it right, the TAC staff had to run a grinder. But if I got it wrong, then we all had to run a grinder. It would be our last grinder, basically, before graduation.
Nice.
I got it right, so we got to watch TAC staff run a grinder.
Of course, you got it right. TAC Sergeant Gorell was pretty cool, though. So
Yeah, he was.
he's LT now. Physical fitness and the dieting is a huge thing. Our classes kind of differed a little bit. Gold was a running class. That's like all we did. Was
we
run.
did a crap ton of running.
So the running drills that we have, you do your long runs, you do little exercises in those runs as well, where you may like do like an Indian run or like a wagon wheel, or is it the Indian wheel? Is that what it is, where you weave in and out of everybody in a big circle?
We call it a
do
wagon
that.
wheel.
Well, yeah,
Weave in and
there's
out in a big circle.
Yeah, you guys didn't do that. It's
No,
like you
we
go
didn't
on,
do
you
that.
went on the field and made a circle, and then you have to weave in and out, and then when the person next to you goes, you have to go behind them.
No, then we didn't do that.
No,
Okay, well we did.
we did figure eights.
Figure eights at the park, where it's a
Yeah.
big 8 through the park. A grinder is probably the most common form of punishment. So you
Basically,
there's
that's
the track.
Yeah.
There's a track around the field, and you have to sprint around the field. And it can be as part of a exercise routine, or it can be you fell asleep in class, so your whole class has to go out in your actual uniform, your boots and pants and button-up shirts with your little hats. Don't forget your hats. And you have to run a grinder, just one lap and then back in. You also run a grinder before actually everything. Anytime you enter the field, go onto the field, you run a grinder around to probably 3/4 of the way through, and then you have to enter through a gate. You always go the same way on the track, and the gate is on the opposite side for a reason. But Roxas, your class was more into like lifting, weren't they?
Yeah, because one of our TAC officers was real big into like the lifting end of it. So when we did like our circuits and stuff like that, we had a lot of dead weight, like lifting, a bunch of curls. We did the pull-ups in the corner a lot. So we did a lot of physical like training. But then again, we had a lot of people in my academy that were super out of shape. So I can see why.
Did you, Pulsey, because you were gold, did you ever, there was one time when we did officer down at the top of the hill. Did you guys do that at the end of a run?
Yes.
And then there was another time. Did you guys ever like, you're thinking you're going for your normal everyday run, and then all of a sudden, like as soon as you leave the gate, TAC staff and everyone just take off?
Yeah, and like foot pursuit stuff. You have to chase after Carlson and try to catch Carlson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like a 4-minute mile, 5-minute mile, or something like that. Yeah, good times. I remember when we did that foot pursuit thing with Carlson. We had to chase Carlson and do like a 5-minute mile, where I was just like, "What the crap is going on?" And I'm trying not to fall out because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, McClish was the only one that was in our staff that was actually like really good at running. Everyone else fell out a lot.
TAC officers?
Oh yeah, it was great.
I just want to clear the air. I threw up like every single run, but I never fell out. That's all that matters.
Yep, that is all that matters.
So I actually ran more because I had to run out onto the dirt or by a tree and throw up as I'm running, and then run back and catch up with the group. So
you just left that vomit in the community. Nice.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get over it. It's for the greater good. It's just like a foot pursuit. Like I've had a foot pursuit where I've had 2 foot pursuits where I'm running and then throw up after I catch the guy though. No, the first one was with Gomez when I should have stayed on my bike, but I jumped off my bike, which is ridiculous. It was a dumb idea. And I had a mouthful of Auntie Anne's pretzels. And I ran like half a mile. Oh, it was terrible. We ran from like where the Nike store was at the North Outlets all the way to is it the Smith Center over there? And we caught the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we caught the guy and wrestled him to the ground, put him in cuffs, and then Gomez got back on his bike and went and caught another one. And I just pulled a chair under a tree. So I pulled a chair under the tree and I sit down, and he's like talking. I was like, "Shut up, bro. Just sit there." And while there's citizens like there, and they were on the phone because we were in a fight. Obviously, everybody already knows. So the air unit's up, but I'm under a tree. The air unit can't see me. And citizens are calling in saying like, "Oh, there's an officer over here. Like he can't breathe, blah, blah." And so they're like on the radio. And I'm like, we're code 4. We got one in custody over here. And other units were going after the others. Well, then like day shift runs up to me and they're like, "Oh, are you good?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's just lunch." And then they put over the air, like for the air unit, like air unit we're code 4. It was just lunch or something like that. And then the air unit laughs. He's like, "Oh, God." I'm like, wow, you guys suck.
Thanks, day shift.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Calling us out like that. Somebody asked how many miles do you run in the academy? You're looking. You start out at about what, 2.5 is what you start at, and that's first week, and that's your long run. That's not including your grinders or your bear crawls or your sprints.
Yeah, that's the PT run.
That's your PT run in the morning when you first get there. So you'll show up, you'll line up, you'll go put your bags away, and you have, from the time they release you to put your bags away to the time you start your run, you have like 30 minutes. And you have to do your warm-ups, get all your stuff situated, fill up your waters, get your water detail going. There's a lot. But yeah, it's like 4 to 5 miles at the end. You're running, I think the most a class has ran is it 8 or is it 10?
I think it's around the 8 mark.
Because they did one since I've graduated that was, they set the new record or something like that.
You got to have a good class for that, though.
Yeah, you
Oh
do.
yeah, you have to, and you kind of have to have everybody that agrees to go and do it.
Yeah.
Which nobody's gonna say no, but some people are over there like, oh heck no.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
I had a guy in my academy that was 50 going through it, and he could barely finish the final mile like in the max amount of time. So there was no way we were doing anything like that.
Yeah, we weren't doing anything like that either. 8.7 miles is the record. That's the record that is set by a class. It does depend on what class you guys have, but you will at least run, by the end of it, you will at least run 4 to 5 miles a day. Doesn't matter what class you have. The diet is they want carbs because you work out so much. And I would get yelled at because they thought it was my diet was why I was throwing up. And I was like, nah, bro, like that ain't it. The first couple of months are the hardest, I'd say. That's when you're doing less miles on a run, but so much more things going on. You're being so much more punishment, getting yelled at every 15, 20 minutes. You're doing workouts because you're getting yelled at.
You're learning how to come together as a class and as a team.
Somebody said I'm allergic to running. That's true. That is very true. Screw running, yo. Like, I won't run now either. I'll follow you on my motorcycle. I don't care. Run from me. I got freaking 6 gears, bro. Let's do this. Fence? No, I'll go through it. I'm just kidding. Note to self: if running from motorcycle cop, jump fence.
I would also note on the first couple months, it's probably the most academic, probably the most classroom is within the first half of the academy.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff dumped on your plate.
Yeah.
Especially the first test, the first unit is just a lot of information. It's a long test.
I still have the outline like on my computer, like in a folder on the desktop.
The first 2 weeks maybe is when they really try to get people that aren't prepared or aren't committed to leave.
Yeah, that aren't suited
and you
for the
have
job.
to have, whether it's because they're just soft in nature or they just thought it would be something easy. Like if you don't go into this with the mindset of this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it, and this is what I've been training for or working for, then you aren't going to make it.
No.
Because you're going to get, your target's going to be put on your back and they're going to see that and they're going to exploit those doubts in you and they're going to push you out.
Yeah. They'll make you quit.
You know, if they don't push you out, the rest of the class will push you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to come into the academy as a perfect person. You're going to have something to work on, so don't worry about it.
How'd you guys' first inspection go?
Just as well as you thought it would.
Well, did you know your shit or?
Oh, no. No, nobody knows.
Dude.
How did you guys not know your shit?
Because...
Okay, I'm sorry, Officer Fuzz. Not all of us were freaking VTech honor student and
explorers.
Like explorers and freaking robots and bred by the department and cloned for statistical policy purposes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, pretty much.
My first inspection, I think I got one thing wrong, and I had to run a grinder, and then I got everything else
Wow,
right.
you got something wrong. That is freaking... That's crazy.
I think the tag officer just said it was wrong, but it wasn't actually wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got a lot of stuff wrong. They pulled a lot of stuff off of my belt. They threw my gun so far across the field that it landed muzzle into the ground and stuck. Yeah, that was fun times.
So unprepared, you guys.
It wasn't unprepared. It's like I knew the stuff, but when they put you on the spot, you don't know anything. You have to get used to it. You do. You get used to the yelling, and then you're like, you don't care anymore, and you don't. What do they call that? Or you fog up or whatever. You don't remember anything.
Oh, vapor lock.
Vapor lock. That's it. You don't vapor lock. Yeah. Yeah, you'll get to the point where eventually it doesn't bother you anymore. You'll just spit out what they ask of you. But yeah, the first couple of times you're gonna be like, what?
I didn't have that problem.
Okay. You were just a record going on inside of your chest.
Yeah. Was there any one TAC officer you guys feared most?
Let's go into, before we go into like TAC officers we fear, let's go into exactly what an inspection is, because so what's the best way to describe that?
Just pretty much just you being put on like a show pony. They line you up and they try to figure out what you're good at and what you're bad at. And most of the time, you're bad at
Yeah.
everything.
And they inspect you, your knowledge, your uniform.
Everything, yep.
Yeah, they ask you, it's not just your knowledge of like codes or definitions, it's your serial number of the firearm they've given you, serial number of your flashlight, your handcuffs. It's the way you stand, the way you talk. There was I'll wait till the TAC officer part comes for that. You have a specific formation, and just like you would, the academy is very similar to like military type boot camps or trainings as far as the outline of it. Obviously, the information or the tactics are a little bit different, but the outline of it's very similar. So you line up information, you stand at attention, they instruct you in certain steps on how to prepare, and then you sit there and you wait until somebody comes and basically yells in your face and interviews you.
Yeah, they'll leave you there for a while because I know my first inspection was while the ground was frosted. It was cold. It was cold, that first inspection. So we're standing out there with your firearm at parade rest, holding it up, magazine in one hand, gun ready to go. You were shaking.
I actually don't think my first inspection was cold, but it got colder as I was in the academy, and the cold scarred me more.
Oh, yeah, it was rough. It'll hurt your lungs running in it.
You guys are weird.
I'm from the cold too.
I have a story about a TAC officer that we fear, but do you guys have anything as far as first inspection and TAC officers you feared, or somebody that you knew when they were coming over, you were doing push-ups or running a grinder?
I feared Flying Fuzz's sergeant, and he wasn't even my TAC staff.
Really?
You
Oh,
feel-
Sergeant Garrell?
Oh, yeah.
Darrell?
Oh yeah.
He does have a very like
He was so cool.
he is super cool, but he does have a very
He is an intimidating individual.
intimidating. That's what I meant. Intimidating like persona about him.
But that's just
He's a
it.
big dude.
He wasn't our TAC staff, so I never got to see him in a mellow like environment. It was the one time that I was with him, and it was just like, oh, and that was it. And that's all I know him from.
Yeah, when he spoke, it was like I don't know how to describe it. He's
Shook
just
you to
really
your
good at
core.
Speaking. Yeah, he's just really good at speaking, and he's just really good at bringing everyone together. And I loved him. He's really good.
Fuzz will understand this. We had TAC Officer Sherman, who was the coolest TAC officer ever. Like, the coolest, bro. We called her, obviously not to her face, we called her Mama Sherman. And I don't want to say I feared her, but like I was scared to like mess up in front of her because she was so cool that I didn't want to disappoint her. But towards the middle of the academy, almost maybe towards the end, we had an inspection, and this kid in our class was in line, and I don't remember if he was squad leader or what he was, because he was in front of me, and his last name starts with a Z, so it was kind of weird. But we were right there, and I could see him, and TAC Officer Sherman walks up to him and asks him a question about an inspection, and he says, instead of ma'am, he says mama or mom or something like that.
no.
Oh, dude. But like it was just so funny where, like she couldn't, like she had to, because we had her and TAC Officer Melton, and they were both female, and so they kind of like stuck together, especially in inspections. They'd go up to you and one would be on your right, one would be on your left, and they'd just be screaming at you like for whatever. But TAC Officer Sherman could not, for the life of her, like when he said mom, he said mom. When he said mom, she straight up like laughed and then walked away, and then Melton just took over and just destroyed him. Like it was the best. But we all got destroyed too because we were laughing. And then towards the end, like it came out because she was like, we were hanging out with her, whatever, towards the end when they're buddy with you, and she said something like a joke about that, and he was like, well, like we always call you Mama Sherman, like on our off time or when we're not here. She was like, what?
Wait, you
Like,
guys have a nickname for me?
Classes have been doing that forever, man.
Oops.
She didn't know people called her Mama Sherman?
No, I think she did. I think she was just kind of playing it off. What stories do you guys want to tell about your academy for this episode?
Well, I'll talk about, so early on in the academy, if someone screws up, then you kind of get punished as a class. So we had a guy, it was one of those that they were trying to push out, like we talked about earlier. Shouldn't have been there. They're trying to get rid of him. We had a PT test one morning and he didn't show up. And he, I guess, like wanted to quit or something, or he was late. I don't know. And they convinced him not to quit. I don't know who, but anyway. So he missed the PT test. So they were like, well, since he missed the PT test, all of you guys have to be here an hour and a half early tomorrow. So we can all do the PT test again, this time with him. So next morning comes around, we all show up, and guess who is not there? Homeboy that didn't show up to the PT test the day before.
Oops.
So instead of them being like, oh, we're still doing a PT test, they actually used that because it was still dark outside. They actually used it as a training opportunity, and we did scenarios in the dark. So we got to do like 4, 6, 8s in the dark. And they got to show us how the takedowns work and all that stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, he didn't show up. And I just remember, I think we were all like, because we were standing in formation, and when we realized he wasn't going to show up, we were like, this MFer made us get up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to have to do this PT test
And he
again.
didn't even show up.
Yeah, he didn't even show up. But once they realized he didn't show up, then they turned it into something good.
So he ended up just quitting then.
Yeah, he quit.
He didn't make it. Okay, that's good. He doesn't. One of the funny stories I remember from the academy. So I actually tested with a friend from Utah, and we ended up getting in the same academy. Well, the academy staff knew that we tested together and were like friends before the academy. So it came around to the sexual assault scenario. And essentially what that means is they put you in dry scenarios where they say, okay, you're going to go investigate a sexual assault, have fun. And they don't teach you anything about it. They may like talk a little stories or something like that, but they don't tell you really what to do or how to do it. Well, being friends with this guy, and if you guys know me personally or have ever talked to me, I kind of have a hard time like taking what's in my mind and communicating it in an appropriate way rather than the way I'm thinking. And sometimes it gets me in trouble. Well, we're doing this sexual assault scenario, and he's telling me that he had this girl over and she like made him take off his pants and then got on top of him and whatever. And they want you to get more details and be really descriptive in these kind of investigations. And so I was just like, okay, like, is that even sexual assault? Because I'm not sure I would claim that as sexual assault, honestly. He's like, well, and I was like, oh, all right, well, like, did she just jump on you and go to town and rape you, or did you enjoy it? And they were like, okay, we are done. And that did not, like, I don't think I got punished, but everybody was just talking crap. Like, everybody's talking crap, making fun of me.
Yeah.
And it was just, is what it is.
Do you have a story, Roxas?
Yeah, I've got a story. So when you go to the academy, they give you most of your gear that's on your belt there, besides the stuff you have to buy and bring yourself. So you have this gear and you're responsible for having it all the time. Now, the most fun about this is if someone in your academy forgets gear. So the props that my tax staff came up with when you forgot stuff was hilarious, because you'd be in trouble. You'd be in trouble, and you'd have to report up to the tax staff in the morning, knock on the door, do the little ritual to get permission to talk to them. And then when you run back from, your disgraceful little run to tell them that you forgot your radio, you would come back with an extra piece of equipment. So we had a few extra things here. They were great. So we had someone in our academy that he forgot his radio. So he's like, I don't have my radio. We're like, all right, well, you're going to have to go tell the tax staff. So you hear him run up there, knocks on the door, gives the little entrance thing, disappears, is quiet for a little bit, and then you hear him run back in. Well, you see this mofo run back into the classroom, and he's holding a full-size boom box, like one of the ones that you have on from like from our parents' age that they would walk around on their shoulders, and he had to carry that around for the whole rest of the day in place of his radio. We had one guy that forgot what was it? He forgot his hat. You get Metro hats that you have to wear when you're out in the sun or whatnot. Well, he forgot his hat, so he disappears inside. And he comes back out, and he's wearing TAC Officer McClish's riot helmet with his name on the back of it, name and P number. So he rode around or ran around the entire day with just this helmet on. By far, the funniest one was, you don't get your OC spray until you earn your OC spray. So you don't have that in your belt until later on. So by this time, most of the academy has their stuff together. So you don't have to worry about people missing or messing stuff up. So someone shows up and they forgot their OC spray. Now, how you forget your OC spray, that in its own is a question, because you don't ever pull that out. You don't play with it. You don't take it off your belt. So for them to not have their OC spray, and then they have to go up to the tax staff and tell them that, this is by far the best one. So he disappears. He goes up there. He comes back. And what is he holding in his hands? He has a fire extinguisher. He is holding a fire extinguisher to come back over here and replace his OC spray. The only other thing that we had is that if you forgot anything else, our common go-to was a sledgehammer. And that was one of those things that people would just they'd run back after missing gear and they'd have a sledgehammer that you have to carry for the whole rest of the time. But other than that, I mean, the little things that my tax staff came up with was great.
I'm not going to lie. I think that Blue class by far had the best props for when people screwed up.
Our props were hilarious. It was one of those things where it's like you saw the person coming back and you knew, because my tax staff was a whole bunch of jokesters. Like they had some funny stories. They had some really cool life experiences and stuff like that. So when they came and told stories, it was great. But when they came back with these props, or someone was going up there, like, I wonder what they're going to run back here with. Like you were waiting for something stupid to come running back into the classroom, and they never disappointed.
The best prop that we had was somebody got pulled over for doing like 80 and a 65 on the 215, and they not only made him sign his own ticket, like they gave him a ticket in class, but they also
No way,
made him
really?
carry around. Yeah,
They had to avoid. Did they void it?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that they made him sign the copy of the ticket. That's all I know. But they made him carry around like one of those signs that they put the UTRE classrooms on, and with the speed limit 65 on it, because apparently he needed a reminder.
Wow. They had to have avoided that. There's no way.
I have no idea. I guess he no longer works for the department. He got
I'd be that a-hole that would fight it.
the ticket.
Yeah.
Go in and find it. He would have won because it was
Yeah, I
a
know.
TAC officer driving home and visually estimated him.
That'd be hilarious.
Like, I'd put the court date off until after graduation, and then I'd fight it.
Or you thought it was a joke and you didn't show up, and now you've got a warrant out.
Oh, yeah, that too.
All right, Roxas, why don't you go ahead and give us a public service announcement?
All right, so public service announcement for this week is that the police are not here to raise your kids. You wouldn't believe how many calls, specifically while in FTEP, while I was in Northwest Area Command, the amount of calls you would get to go to somebody's house and try and tell them to make their kid go to school or finish their dinner or do something along those lines. So the truth is, when I show up to scold your kid about not going to school, I'm probably going to talk to your kid about video games. I'm going to get his gamer tag, and then I'm going to whoop his butt in whatever video game he plays. And that's going to be the only punishment that I'm giving that kid. Other than that, I'm walking out of there just having a good time with some kid whose mom doesn't know how to scold their own child. So there it is. Public service announcement. We're not here to raise your kids.
Totes.
Totes, he says. Do you guys get annoyed when people are like, oh, it's the cops. If you be bad, they're going to arrest you?
I haven't had that part. For the most part, I haven't had any parents say that like in front of me.
I get it. It really grinds my gears. So when you walk into an establishment and people are like, "Oh, I didn't do it."
Oh, you trying to go eat lunch or something?
Yeah,
so annoying.
All right, guys, let's close this out. That's it for part 1. Just remember, part 2 will be up next week. Thanks for listening, and until then, stay safe.